revolution begins.
I'm expecting a fight, hoping for a war.
We are the Mulligan.
I am the greatest living professional wrestler alive! One by one, they will all follow me!
Bada boom, realest guys in a room.
How you know?
Feed me more.
It's the most wonderful time of the year, when the flurries are sticking, Sheamus is broke kicking, and the Bellas are near. It's the most wonderful time of the year.
Oh, God. Uh-oh. Whoa, brother. There you go. It's gonna be a long night.
Ladies and gentlemen, wrestling to the mat.
And your hosts, Gary Vaughn, Sean Garmer, and Paul Vieser.
Hello and welcome to another Wrestling the Max podcast. This is episode 174, and we are the Every Wrestling Fan Podcast.
That's
Gary.
Right. Yes, that's right. We are, and we are excited to be here once again. I hope you guys are as thrilled as I am. We've got a lot to do today, and plus, lots of Christmas cheer to share around. I hope everybody enjoyed that intro, especially the whole Sheamus bro kicking people during Christmas. It's beautiful. But, nonetheless, we're going to be talking about a lot of great things. I cannot wait. We are going to talk NXT Takeover London tonight. That's right. We are going to review the show, talk about it, kind of see how everybody feels about it. We honestly have not talked to each other about this show yet, so we're going to have varying opinions. I'm very, very sure about this, but it's going to be a blast talking about it. Plus, we're going to do some quick hits tonight, like always. All the big news topics coming out lately, so we're going to get into that. We'll do our reviews like Monday Night Raw. We're going to do Ring of Honor and TNA Impact. So lots of great stuff to talk about. Plus, we're going to crown a Superstar of the Week once again. And just, man, this is just going to be a fun show. I cannot wait to talk about all the different things we got to discuss. But it's the Christmas season. I hope everybody's having a great time. Hopefully, while you're listening to this podcast, if you're at work, man, I hope you're, getting through the day. Hopefully, we'll help you getting through the day. If you're on your way home, hopefully you're getting a chance to relax. Whatever you're doing, we're hoping we can help you through that. I know when I listen to podcasts at work, it makes my day go a lot better. So I hope everybody's having a great Christmas. But, man, I'll have to say this. I kind of, during the holiday season, I want to kind of throw a few things out there to you guys about, what's going on. But I'll say this. Let's start with this theme today. Let's talk about some of the holiday things that come around, like the specialty things, like, pumpkin spice coffees and stuff like that, and all these different drinks and treats and things you get during the holiday season. I'll tell you one thing that I love that comes out there in the holidays that I miss all the time when it's not around, and that is the white chocolate covered Oreos. Those are amazing. I'm telling you, I could eat a whole thing of them and not feel guilty at all. I'm a big peppermint fan. The holidays are my favorite because I love peppermint and chocolate. So, man, you guys, I indulge in these holiday things. Paul, is there anything that you love during the holidays to partake of?
I feel really lame because, like, pumpkin spice, nope, not a fan. I like peppermint, but I just like peppermint by itself. I don't eat with anything. Like, so anything holiday themed, I'm like a miser. I just didn't, no, get it out.
I love it.
Out of there.
Well, Sean, I know there's a few things you probably enjoy. What do you like?
I'm a huge eggnog person. Ooh. So, like, when I run out of the eggnog, I go to the store to buy more eggnog. That's kind of my thing. I also like the pumpkin spice stuff. So I'll kind of binge on that a little bit. Normally, like my coffee or, the creamer to the coffee or something of that nature, pumpkin pies, all that. Even though those are around year round, but
Yeah.
usually I don't think about eating pumpkin pie unless it's like Thanksgiving or Christmas or something like that.
Yeah. Same with me. I love pecan pie. It's one of my favorite things in the world, but I just don't eat it regularly unless it's Thanksgiving or Christmas time. And I'll be honest. Every once in a while, you go to Sam's and there's a pecan pie sitting there, and I'm tempted to buy it. 1 out of 10 times I will buy it. I try to stay away from it. So needless to say, that is a kind of a holiday treat, but not really because you can buy it during the summer. But like I said, when it is not Christmas, I get kind of bummed out. I never, really get a chance to get my peppermint drinks, like the peppermint coffees and all that. I kind of have to depend on my Andes Mints to get me to the holiday, of July and, July 4th and all those kind of things. So, and by the way, if anybody loves me and you really like, to impress me or make me just feel good, make my day better, send me a case of Andes Mints. That would solve everything. So,
all right, well,
yeah,
I know
just
what
let
to get
everybody
for
know.
Christmas, then.
Yeah, exactly, right there. Just give me a giant brick, and I will be the happiest man ever. So,
yeah.
An 8
Some
ball.
people probably took a brick on the show by the time we got through this.
Anyway, let's move on. Now it's time to spoil Star Wars for everybody.
No.
I kid. I'm not going to. Oh, that's not this podcast. That's a different podcast. So go check another one out if you want to hear about Star Wars, because we are not going to spoil things for everybody.
Oh, even though none of us have seen it either, so
Yeah, I just like to throw that out there to freak people out, So, all right, guys. Well, why delay any longer? Let's go ahead and jump into this. We're going to talk NXT Takeover, so we'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. Oh, sorry.
There you go. Sorry.
That's okay. All right, guys. Well, NXT Takeover was in London, and I just have to ask this question before we jump into the card.
Boy, they love that song a ton because they played that thing every single moment that they could.
Yeah, I know. It was like, it just the whole show basically was that song. But I just got to ask this before we jump into the card alone. I want to know from you guys, what did you think about the atmosphere? Because I'll say this. When I turned it on and, I was going to get a chance to watch it, it was a little later at night. I didn't watch it when it was live. But it seemed like that crowd was super hyped. Now, we all know it's England. They love wrestling. They love to be a part of it. We've seen this on, the Monday Night Raws that are in London. But I don't know, man. This crowd was super hyped. And, I mean, to me, this is a wonderful thing for NXT. But what did you think about the atmosphere just by, turning on the show and just watching them set it up?
I loved it. Like, this is like indie, super indie atmosphere to the max. It was over the top and amazing. Like, I couldn't get enough of them. They could make up songs all night. I'd just watch that, to be honest with you.
Did you like those, Sean? Those beautiful songs that they were singing?
I, as coming from a person that I used to watch a lot of it, I watch more of the American, style of soccer now. But that's pretty much, if you ever gone or seen an English league soccer game, that's all they do at those games. So them doing it here is pretty much just an extension of that, and it's them having fun. It's what they do. You see them do it when they have the Raws here. A lot of times with the Raws, there's a lot more stuff to hate on, so they're not as nice. But I think there seems to be a lot of backlash of the people hating on this crowd because they were too boisterous. They said too much, and
Wow.
honestly, I think that's kind of stupid. I get it. I get that it might ruin the moment for you if you feel like, hey, we gotta we don't want this happening like all the time, but like it made it fun for me. Like there was times where at first I couldn't tell if they were saying Enzo Amore. I thought they were saying something else, you know. But after I got it, it was cool, you know.
Yeah.
Like they made Bailey a song. I mean,
yeah, they wanted to know if Bailey would be their girl. I mean, come on now. That's all they wanted to know.
See, I love that. I mean, there's something about that song that crowds love. I'm sorry, that's off topic, but I remember in high school sitting in the stands and at our school games, and it'd just be every time they'd be singing that song. So that was a nice, fun treat to hear that. That is lovely. Bailey, won't you be my girl? I love it. But yeah, I mean, the crowd was great, very exciting, and I love that, Sean. You pointed out it really is the truth. That is very much the UK way. Just to chant, make songs, and it's really honestly something I really enjoy personally. But we do get a chance to start this card off with Asuka and Emma, and of course we get a pretty good match here. And I think it's kind of neat that they do start it off with this match. I wasn't sure if they were going to really. I thought maybe the tag match or something else may start here, even Corbin and Apollo, but that didn't happen. But needless to say, pretty good match. Dana Brooke tries to get involved in this match. Kind of helps a little bit, but doesn't help enough. And Emma, of course, takes the fall here, and Asuka does become the victor. Paul, I mean, looking at this match, I think it was pretty good. I mean, I enjoyed it. There was really nothing I can say that I really didn't like. I'm not sure it was my favorite match of the night, but I enjoyed it pretty well. How did you feel about it?
I really, really like this match, and I feel like Asuka and Emma pretty much just sat around building up to this match. Like, you know what, we're going to watch some strong style stuff, and then they're like, you know what, let's just do that. Because that's exactly what this match felt like. Watching something from New Japan or All Japan or anything like that. Hard hitting, like there were some really stiff blows out there. The only thing, and this is like a super duper minor thing, and it only has to do because I've seen Drake Younger do absolutely insane stuff to his body before, but him taking a ref bump just seems so absolutely ridiculous to me. Like, this guy has voluntarily rolled around in syringes. I mean, the dude is nuts. And him taking a tiny little bump in the corner and that knocking him out is just like the most ridiculous thing in my life right now.
See, that is pretty ridiculous. But hey, someone's got to do it, right? I love that. And of course, I'm sure that exactly for the reason you love New Japan. So I could totally understand why you would love this match. Paul, Sean, what did you think?
Yeah, this was great. I technically still have to get through part of I didn't get to finish watching the main event, so for me, this might have actually been the match of the night out of the things that I saw, because this was just, it went through so many different things. Them, like Paul said, they went through trying to work on the arm for a little while, then Asuka was just kicking around, then Emma got real stiff with her. It was just, then Emma went on offense. It was, I thought it, I love the fact that Harry got proved completely wrong and that it didn't last 5 minutes and it was just Asuka just taking her down. It was exactly what I said, that, Triple H had already said, hey, this is the first time we're going to get to see Asuka do her whole thing in an actual match. And it's going to be competitive, and we got it, and this is, I think, everything you want in it. You get the charisma, you get the kicks, you get the elbows, the Emma going at it with her. I thought this was tremendous, and I thought even Dana played her role well, except for the whole, you got to come up with a better way to tell Emma she's doing a great job than good girl, because that just is terrible.
Yeah. Oh man, but you do good, a solid match here, and of course, we kind of expected Asuka to win. I think all of us predicted that last week, which is fine and dandy. I think Emma's going to be okay. That doesn't really worry me at all. But that does mean Asuka will move on to bigger and better pastures, I'm sure. And I think we all know where that's going to end up. We'll talk about that later, though. But the next match on this card is, of course, the NXT Tag Team Championship belts up for grabs with Dash and Dawson facing off against Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. And, guys, I mean, I really thoroughly enjoyed this one as well. I mean, I had a blast watching it. Just, at times I was really honestly thinking, here we go. I mean, this is the time for Enzo and Kaz to sign. I really felt like they did a great job. Dash and Dawson got theirs. So overall, I think it was pretty balanced. But in the end, we do have Dash and Dawson going over. A little bit of a surprise for me. I really figured that Enzo and Kaz were going to take this one home. But I was completely okay with it. I'm a big fan of Dash and Dawson as well. How did you feel about this, Sean? Did you get the kind of same feeling as I did?
I really enjoyed this match. I think you kind of got the best of what each team does well. You got, Dash and Dawson working on the body parts that were injured previously, especially like really working on Cass's leg and, tearing up I think it was the arm of Enzo. And, then you get Enzo doing his flying thing on the outside and all that. And even I thought that the only thing that kind of sucked was they did the Carmella moment and then they basically killed off Cass right there. Like, I think the Carmella moment should have had a bigger thing of her hitting, I think it was Dawson. So that was my only little, I think, small gripe. Other than that, I thought the match was terrific, and I think we were all kind of prepared for maybe this could be the moment, and they ripped it away again. So, that's what seems to be NXT's specialty, is ripping it away until like you can't take it anymore. Then they give it to you.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you brought up the Carmella thing, because I kind of felt the same way as you did, Sean, on that. I mean, I was kind of like, okay, where are they going with this? And I wasn't sold that, I was completely on board on the way it went. But Paul, I mean, how was your thoughts on that?
The thing I think I like most about the match is how compatible these guys yet they are. How compatible they are, yet they're so very different. It's like an old school brawler technique versus a much more newer school brawler technique, and it made for a fun. It made for a fun styles clash, because you have obviously Colin tossing Enzo around the ring and doing his thing, and then you have Dash and Dawson doing the old school tag routine, which is just so refreshing, because you don't see it anymore. And I think they made the right move keeping the belts on Dash and Dawson, personally, because they have all these great face teams and not a lot of heel teams. And Dash and Dawson can get way over just constantly beating these guys until, as Sean said, you can't take it anymore. And then they'll launch it to Jordan or Gable or Enzo and Cass or whoever else comes along in the next time we get to an NXT special, which I'm assuming is going to be February. So the Carmella thing, I mean, the only thing I hate is that it seems so small in relation to everything. Because she hits Dawson, and then it's very quickly to the finish, which was awesome. The Super Codebreaker was beautiful, but I hate that it sort of got like is a footnote almost.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my point of it too. Was that should have been something that you see and go, oh my gosh, she actually hit him, and it. I'm not saying it had to be involving, but you can have it lead to a near fall or something, and it didn't even do that.
Yeah, it really does make you wonder their thought process in that. But I mean, maybe there was something that didn't go exactly the way it was supposed to, or maybe it was planned like that, just not what we liked. So, but now once again, you do have Dash and Dawson as your champions, your NXT Tag Champs, that is, and of course, we'll have to see where they go and who they move on to next. But now we need to talk Apollo Crews and Baron Corbin, and I was very curious about this match because, where these guys are in their career. Apollo Crews, I mean, he seems like he's got a rocket ship, on his back, and he is ready to go up and up and up. Baron Corbin, he's supposed to be, a guy full of potential, maybe a guy with a rocket ship, but just not quite. But that's what leads me to this match, and I think both these guys put a a lot of effort into it. Really worked hard. Once again, I thought this match was done very well. I think Apollo Crews got the right amount of offense in, and of course Baron Corbin as well. I was kind of concerned Apollo Crews was going to take most of it. But I just feel like Baron Corbin got his due. And, of course, he does win this match, which shocked me. I really thought Apollo Crews was going to take this one home. Paul, I mean, were you shocked, and what did you think about the match?
The match, I think, is the worst of the evening, and saying that means this show's pretty darn good. They don't have a great chemistry together, but I think they worked pretty well together. The near falls, I think, were the best part. Personally, Apollo Crews jumping, getting that one move, and then jumping almost into the Apollo or the Uhaa combination, or just standing moonsault. I don't know if he has a name for it yet, but leading to that near fall was pretty cool. How he kept working out the end of days was also really, really neat. I think going with Baron's the right move here because he hasn't been winning a lot recently, and you're trying to keep your upper card strong. And I think this does that because I don't think this hurts Apollo all that much. Plus, they can still keep this going if they want to as well. So, but overall, I mean, it's not the strongest match on the card, but it wasn't terrible by any stretch of the imagination. A little dull maybe here and there in the middle, but
yeah, you know what? And here's my thing. I think I've become accustomed to what Corbin is. And I already can kind of consider him dull, to be honest with you, perfectly frank. But at the same time, I mean, I still think that Apollo kind of helped him through this. And I think they kind of, not that they had great chemistry or anything, but I think that they still had a pretty decent match here. But, I mean, Sean, I mean, looking at this, I mean, do you think Corbin going over was the right thing?
I think I agree with Paul in that same sense that because Finn stayed the world champion, I think you have to keep some of your heels strong. You already did an Apollo. I mean, as much as they did, they kind of teased it. That thing's still kind of going on. You want to keep. I think if Corbin had lost, it hurts him more than it hurts Apollo. Because Corbin's lost already before, and he lost to Joe, and he got beat up by Joe, and all this stuff, and then you lose to Apollo, and it's like, okay, well, that always makes you feel like Corbin's not going to get past a certain level. And maybe that's true in the long run, but right now you want to make him seem like he's a credible threat, and outside of Joe, who do you really have that's like a top-tier heel that can go against Finn right now? Like, nobody. So, you got to have Corbin there for that reason. Mm-hmm. And he's a guy that's easy to hate, too. So, whether you hate him because you think he's boring or whether you hate him because you don't like his smug character or, whether you hate him because you don't like his in-ring work or whatever. There's reasons to hate the guy.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, too, watching Breaking Ground of how much that smugness is real. Of course,
no, I think there's part of. I mean, that's why I think he works well is because I do think that what you see on Breaking Ground, the way he is when he goes to that bar or whatever, that seems like that's him. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he's a former football player. I mean, he's been around the block. I mean, he's probably had a few people like recognize him before, and he just gets tired of people just, he's a lone guy. He doesn't want to be around people.
That's why they call him the lone wolf.
Yeah, that's kind of how you are sometimes. You want to be by yourself. You kind of an ass to other people.
That's very true. But I'm with you guys on this. Corbin winning is not a problem. But Apollo Crews, I think Paul, you said it. It does not hurt him. It makes him, take one for the team, but at the same point, I mean, Apollo Crews is still going to be out there and dominate at times. So nothing bad there. But Corbin does need wins. He needs to be strong if they're going to put him in any place, that's relevant because this guy you can tear down very quickly. Well, let's move on and let's talk about, before we get into the actual match itself, let's talk about Nia Jax is backstage and she's talking and basically, kind of talking about the match now. She's going to dominate Bayley. But this is where you get a sneak peek of what could be happening pretty soon here in the future with Asuka staring her down and kind of smiling, her creepy smile as she does. This is kind of interesting. They kind of already kind of gave away a little bit where the next feud possibly for Nia Jax is, which I thought was kind of interesting in this show. But that's okay because of what we see next. And that is the NXT Women's Championship with Nia Jax facing off against Bayley, the Women's Champion. And this was a great match. I think that these two worked pretty well together. And, Nia Jax being new, I'm not sure. Paul would probably have to correct me on how long she's actually been in a ring. I don't know that for a fact, but I think she worked really hard. I think she showcased herself pretty well once again, and you can tell that she is really trying her best to be the best that she can be. But in this match, you get a lot of rest holds because, Bayley's trying to wear her down. She's trying to wear Bayley down, which makes a lot of sense for these two, especially with Nia Jax's range in the ring at least. But we do get Bayley winning, and that is great by submission. So that's kind of interesting too, because we don't usually see Bayley win by submission. So what do you think about that, Sean? That's kind of an interesting dynamic here. It's kind of cool to see Bayley win this way.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense because it's the whole, it's going to be more of a just flat out, okay, she won, and she's proving that she's a champ, and it doesn't matter, how big you are or whatever. She's still the person to be feared, and I think that really puts her over as, okay, whoever comes through, whether it's going to be Nia again or whoever, you're really going to have to do something to beat Bayley.
What do you think, Paul?
I think this match was quite good, honestly. Nia Jax has been wrestling for 7 months in front of crowds. Yeah, and I think she more than proved herself here personally. She held up her end of the bargain. Her selling was a little uneven at times, but her on offense is just really good. Like the lifting Samoa drop was just that was an incredible spot, and the continued she plays the monster heel very well, and does an especially good job in this match. I have a very I guess it's not a small. I have a problem with Bayley winning by submission here, just because Nia is still new. Or new enough to where her maybe losing by submission wasn't the greatest decision. And I don't know if a lot of people put as much emphasis on losing by submission as I do. Because I feel like tapping out just means more than getting pinned 1, 2, 3. And I feel like you could have had Bayley win, like a super Bayley to belly or something like that. Or, it's something else to where she puts Nia down, sure, and you can move on if you want to. But it doesn't hurt Nia all that much, because I feel like the submission victory hurts her more than it helps her.
Well, fair enough, and I can understand where you're coming from on that. I just, I kind of thought, what Sean was saying is something I was kind of thinking as well was, this is her only way to get a victory. Only because she's never going to outpower Nia Jax. And so I think that's what they were probably going for here, and I can understand. I just, once again, kind of rewinding, I think Nia Jax is just, once again, doing a great job for what she's done and the experiences she has. And I'll say this,
I just think Nia's always going to be, she's so big that it's so hard not to take her seriously. Just her presence by itself can make her a contender. You don't even have to build her up again like they did leading up to this. She's already done that. She's already proven herself. Yes, she lost, but that's because Bayley's great. It's going to take more than that. It's just going to take her being prepared next time for various ways Bayley can beat her, and we'll have to see if they even touch again on that down the line. But I just think it doesn't really hurt her that much because of what she can bring.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And, it's so funny, and this is probably the wrong person to say, but, watching her and watching what she's doing and just the way she stands and kind of holds herself, I keep thinking, she's kind of like the female Abyss. Not saying they're exactly alike. I'm just saying that just the way she kind of holds herself in the ring, and she just reminds me her kind of cadence, I guess. But it's interesting. It's great, and that's a compliment. Biz is awesome. So, but we get through with that match, and once again, I think all of us could say, maybe not the best women's match or anything, but it's still a pretty decent one there. But that leads us to our next match here, and this is the main event, and that is, of course, for the NXT World Championship. The Samoa Joe will face off against Finn Balor, the champion himself, and he is the demon coming out in this one. And these two guys, you expect a good match out of them. I really enjoyed this match. I just once again, very, very solid. Paul, what was your thoughts as you watched this match? How did you feel? Did it live up to expectations?
I certainly think so. The ending stretch in this match was absolutely amazing. Another match that I think follows the strong style blueprint of building up in the early stages, working a middle ground to where you're both going back and forth before you hit that home stretch, and everybody's throwing bombs, and it's all this fun stuff that we've become accustomed to. I gotta say though, Finn dressing up like Jack the Ripper and the demon makeup might have made my evening. Just throwing that out there, because even demons dress up like a sir in London.
Oh, it's perfect. It really was perfect, wasn't it? Because it's the theme. Jack the Ripper is an evil person. You got a demon, So it's beautiful.
A lot of people believe that it took him basically being a demon to do all those things. So that was awesome. I think that was. He continues to just outdo himself every time when he does that. So props to him for that. I haven't been able to finish watching the match, so I don't really have too much of an opinion on it, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and once you do get a chance, you'll enjoy it. I thought it was great as well. To me, it's like, how can you have a bad match with these two guys? Finn's just once again one of the best talents NXT has right now. And of course, it's Samoa Joe. He puts the work in. So I think these two guys, just put on a great main event. Everybody loved it, apparently. That's the way it was going down in London, of course. Overall, we get, Finn Balor winning. And do you guys have a disagreement with that? Do you guys think this is the right decision for Finn Balor to stay champion? Or do you think Samoa Joe should have got the championship?
There's only one guy in NXT who comes close, I think, to touching where Finn is as far as overness goes right now. And we just heard that he's going to be coming back next week, and that's Sami Zayn. And if they're not planning on building to a Sami Zayn-Finn Balor match at some point for one of these takeover specials, then they need to get their head checked.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. I agree with that, because I'm already salivating just thinking about that match. Wow, that is going to be so cool. And a lot of people would argue that Sami Zayn doesn't belong, in NXT anymore. That he should, stay up there in the main roster where he was supposed to be going. But I still think I'd love to see that match before he does go. So. Let's go ahead and rate this. I just got to know, I know Sean, it's kind of unfair to ask Sean because, he didn't get a chance to finish the main event, but from what you saw, kind of give me an idea what you think you're going to rate this, Sean.
There was only one really, just okay match, honestly. But there was also nothing like match of the year contender or anything like that either. There was some that were certainly very, very good. That's why I think I'm going to lean more towards the 8 side of things.
Fair enough.
I'm right there with you. 8, maybe an 8.5, somewhere in that range. There's not really a bad match on this show. I think, Corbin and Cruz is the worst of it. I have some troubles here or there with maybe a decision or two, but this is still a really, really strong takeover special.
I'm right there with you guys. We all agree. And in fact, that's what I have here in front of me. And at 8, I think it was a solid show. A lot of great matches. Nothing was bad. I don't have many gripes. Really don't. Why did I rank it a 9 out of 10? like Sean just said, there's not a match of the year in this candidate. And of course, there's no other big thing that happened that just blew anybody out of the water. Just a solid show. And I'm glad that it did happen. So, well, guys, that's NXT Takeover London. That was really fun. But we have to go ahead and talk about some other things. So why don't we get into some news that happened this past week and some things that are going on in the world of wrestling? Let's do it. We'll be right back with Quick Hits.
It's time for wrestling news. Quick Hits.
All right,
let's do this. Okay, let's go ahead and start out with some, news that I think is kind of interesting here, and I think a lot of you out there probably will as well. But if you've been watching, kind of the news wire and trying to figure out what's going on with Rey Mysterio, if you're a Mysterio fan or you just want to know what's going on with him, he officially is part of Lucha Underground, and we've been waiting for this and wait for it to be official. The rumors were flying around, but it is official now. What do you think about this, Paul? I mean, is this finally this a good deal, or is this something that you're like, I don't know if I really care?
I am so not looking forward to this.
So, don't care part.
I'm sure they'll find a way to use them correctly, but I just there's so much talent here I want to see shine. I don't need Ray on my TV screen here.
Well, we know what we control them with now.
Yeah. Oh, Rey Mysterio jokes are going to come. What do you think, Sean?
I think that they're doing this for just getting a name out there. Not the problem. Supposedly he's working a safe style, and that's fine as long as he's not out there trying to do stuff he can't do. I think it helps because you can have him win the title, and then when the other guy beats him, it can be something because it's still very Mysterio. I think in that way it's cool.
Yeah.
I get guys aren't totally of it either, and but I think in Lucha Underground, because I understand why they felt they had to do it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
And of course, I've always been a bigger Rey fan than Nocebo, so.
Yeah, and I think there are people like you, Sean, who just enjoy Rey, and they're just excited to get a chance to see him again because they haven't got an opportunity in a long time, unless they watch AAA or anything else that he's done. But he hasn't done a whole lot. Let's be honest. So, interesting stuff. But here's something else that was kind of big this week that I'm really excited about talking about. And WBE made official this past week, Mauro Ranallo is now the lead announcer over on SmackDown, and this will happen when they move over to SmackDown this coming January to the USA Network. So, what do you think, Paul? How exciting is this for you?
I think it's really cool. This is somebody who can, I think, legitimately bring something different to the table. And obviously he's going to have to learn how to work in whatever style that WWE wants these guys to call matches. But I think he's very, very talented. He did a great job on the New Japan show at Axis, and really look forward to see what he brings to SmackDown.
According to him, he's going to be allowed to do his thing on SmackDown because they want SmackDown to be a hybrid of Raw and NXT, apparently. So we'll have to see how that goes.
Or how long that idea lasts.
Yeah, or how long. Who cares as long as it gets ratings and people are paying attention, right? Like, I think if you're getting social media buzz and you get those Twitter ratings up for SmackDown and the ratings are at least comparable to what they were on Sci-Fi, I don't think you can really... I just don't see how that's going to be a bad thing. Like, if you're focusing more on wrestling, and the only thing that worries me is if they do that with SmackDown, now they're going to say, oh, well, we don't have to have so much wrestling on Raw, and then Raw goes to the complete other way, and, I don't know.
Yeah.
But, Mauro Ranallo is one of those guys that he makes me just, when I was first starting, New Japan, just us when we weren't doing the shows that we did that month or whatever, that's kind of how I started, was watching those Axis shows, and he would make me get into matches that I didn't really know much about, so if he gets you to watch matches that are not in the same language that you speak, I can only imagine that if he's allowed to do that for WWE matches, how much better he can make them. So, I mean, they already made me find a reason to watch SmackDown with just Mauro Ranallo being on there, so...
I totally agree, and this guy is so talented, and he knows his stuff. He's been around and in the wrestling business before. I mean, he was 16 years old, at ring announcing and things like that. So this guy has a history with wrestling. He's not just an MMA guy. Of course, like you guys just pointed out, working with Access TV for the New Japan stuff. I mean, he's got a solid background. I think he's going to be a fresh breath of air for that, of course, the SmackDown announce team, and just a solid guy to come in and join this crew.
I just worry about who they could put him with. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Him being basically the JR to like King's jokes, I guess would be okay, because even Josh Barnett tries to throw out dumb jokes on the New Japan on Access, and sometimes they fall really hard.
Yeah.
Because Mauro just kind of like deadpans it and just moves on, and you're like, oh, he just tried to, say something really dumb, and he's just like, all right, I'm going to keep on doing what I'm doing over here. So.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, it's going to be really exciting, but I'm just really curious, too. I heard Booker T would still be a part of that somewhere, possibly as well. So, I mean, he'll definitely be an interesting mix with Mauro Ranallo. But we'll see. Some other news that, kind of interesting. Kurt Angle was, asked about, NXT and, if he would join NXT, if WWE would bring him back and if they wanted him to put him there. And Kurt Angle said no. He would not do NXT because he considers it the minor leagues, and of course he's not in the minor leagues. So I just gotta know, Sean. I mean, is Kurt Angle kind of is he wrong on this, or is he correct? I mean, I know it is the minor leagues, but usually guys like Samoa Joe are helping the young guys out by going to NXT. Is he looking at this the wrong way?
I think to him, what he's worried about, I think, is that he would get stuck in NXT as a headliner for NXT, and then he would never be put on the main roster. And I think that's his issue. Like, I'm not coming in to do what Samoa Joe is. I'm not coming in to do what Rhino is or whoever. I'm coming to be at WrestleMania. I'm coming to be at the big shows. It'd be different if he debuts on the main roster, or not debut, but he shows up on the main roster. Everybody knows he's there, and then he does a one-off, like him and Chad Gable have a match or something like that on NXT. Like, I could see that happening. But if you tell him, hey, you're going to predominantly be in NXT, and then we'll have you be on the main roster when it's your time. Kind of like if Sting was brought in for NXT, and then he showed up to do like one match on Raw or something. I just don't see. I totally understand Kurt Angle. Like, he's been on he's been on TV with TNA for how many years now? He's going to come back to WWE. It's not to be on NXT.
Yeah, I agree. And his time is so limited. It would make no sense. I mean, Paul, I don't know if you agree. I just couldn't imagine him being at that level.
That was going to be what I was going to say. He doesn't have a ton of time left to be, I guess, dilly-dallying in NXT or anything like that. And, it's not supposed to be a slight or anything against the product down there. I mean, it's hard not to like what they're doing in NXT, but he's got maybe a year left if he decides to keep doing the wrestling thing. And that might be giving him too much credit. So, I mean, I'm sure he just wants to get as much out of the time that he has left on the biggest stage that he can achieve.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And, Kurt Angle's name, it's a big name, but not only that, I mean, it's going to matter more, if you ask me, to Raw, to pay-per-views, than it really is in NXT. And Samoa Joe's definitely younger than him, and definitely makes sense there, but Kurt Angle, no.
Just think about it like this, though, Gary. Like, there's only a couple matches that are... Okay, you get your Finn Balor and Kurt Angle, you get your Chad Gable and Kurt Angle so that you can have that. and then, I mean, maybe a Sami Zayn Kurt Angle. I mean, we've seen Joe Kurt Angle a million times. We don't need to see that again. And then, after you get those couple matches out of the way, you don't have a reason to have him down there.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point? We already know what Kurt Angle can do. Everybody knows what Kurt Angle can do. Just like what you guys said. I mean, if he's going to come up there, it's to have a face-off against John Cena again, to have a maybe have a match with Brock again. I mean, that's why you're wanting to be there. I mean, if you have Daniel Bryan come back, to have that one-off dream match at WrestleMania, I mean, like, that's what you're bringing him back for, not to. I mean, if he says, "Hey, I want to be a trainer afterwards," and he says he wants to, because that'll be the only gig they give him. I mean, I can't imagine that they want him to be on the pre-show, and I can't imagine he'll want to do the pre-show either. But if later on he says, "I want to be an agent" or something like that, then yeah. But I just don't see that at all.
Picture this. Think about this. Kurt Angle coming out with Zeb Coulter, Real Americans, right?
God.
There you go. Just saying.
No.
I would love it. No Scooter though, Zeb. If you really need it, I guess. But come on, I feel so terrible. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about something else. Let's talk about the network outages that happened during NXT Takeover London, and there was apparently a lot of them. People were complaining. I've heard some people miss the main event even because of outages. This is kind of interesting that WWE, has had this network for a little while now, and they've had some issues, but they've corrected a lot of it. I mean, do you think that, this could affect them in any way? Do you think people are going to start, questioning, should they even have it if they can't watch the show? I'm just kind of curious what you guys have in that thought process. Paul, do you have any thoughts on that?
I watched this show on demand, like I think all of us did, so obviously nobody here has firsthand experience, but I've had problems with the network before on streams. It's never been anything so bad as blacking out an entire match. But I remember the network problems that they ran into with Arrival the first time around for the first NXT special that they did, and missing the Rusev segment with Tyler Breeze and all that stuff, which was like 5-6 minutes outage, and that was before WrestleMania, which had me real nervous. So I could see why people might be questioning why we have this, but I mean, I think the record more than stands that they do a pretty awesome job, I think, considering.
Well, I did watch the first 3 matches live, and the Asuka Emma match had a part where it blacked out. And they did the blackout where they do it on Raw, and you make it think that somebody had a wardrobe malfunction or something. So I'm just sitting there going, well, I don't see where, something would have happened there. So this must have just been a network thing, and I think it happened like 2 or 3 times during that match, and I can't remember it happening in a tag match, but I think it might have happened later. I mean, I had to go to work after the Corbin and Cruz match, but if it happened later and it cut off the window for people, that sucks. Especially if it happened in the European countries where that's the first time they're ever getting something on prime time, and that happens. So to me, like. To me, it's a bigger deal with other things. Like if you're one of those that like you're super into like following everything on Twitter and you have to watch everything live and whatever, then that's still a minority to me. Like most people are watching that show on demand. Most people are watching that at the 8 p.m. your time, whatever it is. Whenever you get home from work, you're not watching it at 3 p.m. Eastern on a Wednesday, and if it is prime time where you were when that show was on, it is what it is. That stuff happens, but usually on the on-demand version, you don't get those problems. It's not like when you watch the baseball thing is they're the ones that do all the technical stuff for them. If you're watching something on MLB TV and you miss 3 innings, that's a bigger deal because you're less likely to go back and try to watch that game once it already ended and you already know the score. Yeah,
that's a great point. It really is. And, I think the only exception we have here probably would be WrestleMania, because think about that. when people don't watch any other wrestling all year, they're going to watch WrestleMania, and they're going to go to WrestleMania parties and just enjoy themselves. Right. And if you have a big blackout during WrestleMania, that's going to kill a lot of enthusiasm, especially towards WWE and their network, and of course WrestleMania alone. So that's the one event that I think you don't need the outages. The rest of these, hey, demand is there. Go check it out later, whatever you miss. So
I mean, I'm not saying you shouldn't get mad, because if it was happening to the pay-per-view, you would get mad, right? If you're watching it live on pay-per-view, it's the same way. You should get upset if the network doesn't work the entire time, but that's the difference. You didn't pay $50 for it. You're paying $10 monthly, and that was that day that happened to come on, and you can watch it when it's over.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the news, and I really am excited about talking to Paul about this, because I know he probably has some opinions about it, but Ring of Honor has signed a deal with PWG, and maybe you go through this with me, Paul, and kind of explain what this means. I mean, I know it's kind of a relationship like Ring of Honor already has with New Japan, but what does this mean for the the world of wrestling?
So this is a pretty big deal for indie fans. Ring of Honor, of course, has started signing people to exclusive contracts, guys like the Young Bucks, who very much made their name in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. And for a long time, PWG's mission statement was to bring over a lot of the East Coast talent to the West Coast to give them a platform to get over there as well. So this is a really, really huge deal because, well, for one, it means the Young Bucks don't have to leave PWG. They can still do shows over there. Adam Cole is also a former PWG champion who made his return there recently, which is how the news got broken about the deal being a thing and all this other stuff. And a lot of big ROH names, like, guys like Kevin Owens or, I'm using a lot of their WWE's names now, but Cesaro, a lot of these other guys who got really big in ROH also have been really big in PWG. So, this is a huge deal. It works out very well in favor for PWG because they don't lose a ton of their top talent. And of course, Ring of Honor, of course, gets another promotion to work with, and there's a ton of great talent in PWG as well.
Yeah, it's great, and I think it's fantastic for Ring of Honor, especially because they get to work with these promotions, and not only that, I mean, they get to use their guys and intermingle them, and it's just, to me, an overall great thing for Ring of Honor. And of course, these other promotions, kind of get some good things out of it too, because the Ring of Honor guys aren't something to slouch at. Sean, I mean, how are your thoughts on this?
I mean, this is cool. I mean, we've seen some of them come over for, like, Bola or something like that, but to get them, like, cross-promoting between each other, that's great. I see it more as ROH taking guys to PWG more than PWG bringing guys to ROH, but let's see. I mean, it could give some PWG guys a platform where there's a more immediate like, for them to be seen on TV and you go, oh, I don't know who that guy is, but I like him. And maybe he gets over with them and, who knows? They do some kind of talent swap or something. Because, the only time you see them is if you're there live or on the DVDs that come out whenever the hell they want them to come out. So,
Yeah. Exactly. So, overall, this is something we're going to be watching closely. This is something that's going to come up a lot as we review Ring of Honor shows, and of course, as we talk more New Japan. But PWG is a big deal when it comes to some of these Ring of Honor guys being former champions and all that. They can use that more, and it's just going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to see what happens out of this. So, good deal. All right, let's run through some rapid hits real quick, guys, and we'll get to these very quickly. Let's start off with Donald Trump. That's right. We're talking about a guy that's trying to get into the presidency right now, and he is, of course, a WWE Hall of Famer. That has brought up some controversy with people out there. They made a petition to get Donald Trump out of the WWE Hall of Fame. They sent it to WWE, and WWE says, nope, we're not political here. Sorry, you'll have to move on and do whatever you want, but we're not taking him out. What are your thoughts, Sean?
People want somebody out of a WWE Hall of Fame. You're going to have to do a little bit more than that. It seems like the only reason you get taken out is if Hogan technically has never been officially taken out of it. I think it's still a website thing. So, hey, you know what? You have to do what Jimmy Snuka did, and I don't think he's officially technically out of the Hall of Fame either. So, it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? He's a celebrity wing. Like, the dude, that's all he does is he makes his name off saying dumb stuff. God, he's not going to win the presidential candidacy, so what does it matter? Just let it go.
Paul?
Let me tell you, the first thing I think of whenever I see Donald Trump on my television screen is WWE Hall of Famer. That is the first thing I think of, and I'm being totally sarcastic.
So I was wondering.
Gary didn't catch that sarcasm there.
I love it. That's too funny. But overall, I mean, do you think do you think these people had a right to even send this petition, Paul?
I mean, if they don't want him in there, it's whatever. Obviously, the guy's an idiot and is, pretty much keeping his name in the news by, promoting hate speech. Screw him. He's not going to get in the presidency. Honest to God, if that is what you're thinking of whenever you see this guy as WWE Hall of Famer, then you need to get your priorities straightened out some.
Is there that many WWE fans that have a problem with that? I mean, seriously.
I love it. And keep the sarcasm coming. Because
one day there's gonna be some kind of reality TV Hall of Fame. He's gonna go in that too. So.
Oh yeah, you know it. So, but we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Mr. Trump, and of course, the rest of the Hall of Famers, of course. Let's talk about the fact that WWE's DVD sales are going down. That's right. It's just the downtrend is happening. I think it's possibly, from my personal opinion, because they haven't released that Shane McMahon DVD, but that they're putting on hold right now. But that's okay. Whatever. They'll try to get that out later. But they're going down. Paul, I mean, what can you attribute this to?
The network. A lot of the big specials or anything really cool you want to see is up on the network, and people are going to pay $10 a month instead of $20 or $30 pop for a DVD set that they may only watch once. Smart people being smarter with their money and taking the options that are given to them.
Yeah, it's pretty evident that the shows or the DVDs that are high are the events, because those can last a while, and you still want to have. There's people that still collect the WrestleManias, the Royal Rumbles. That's why those are high. Like when I had my collection, which eventually was stolen because I was dumb and left it in Texas instead of taking it with me. I still, to this day, have no idea why I just didn't take an extra bag with me, but whatever. Either way, I went through a thing where I was collecting WrestleManias, so to me, I would still buy it now, even though I have the network and, I have no reason to really own it. It's still a good thing to have. Whereas, the documentaries, same thing with Paul. Like, I watch it once, and I might watch it again some other time, randomly,
Definitely. Let's run through a couple last things, and
we do have Harry on the line here.
Okay. Hey, what's going on, Harry?
What's up, guys? You started talking DVDs, and I figured I'd take the opportunity.
Okay. Hey, I kind of think I know where this is going, Harry, but go ahead and take your opportunity.
Patrick Ketsa made it official yesterday after the NXT special, because apparently he can't post things on time anymore, which is better than me not posting at all, I guess. Wrestling Unwrapped is moving to the W2M network.
This is awesome. I'm glad that announcement finally happened. This is great, man. Welcome to the team, man.
Appreciate it. We officially go live after, all the test work goes through and my computer can handle the app. We officially go live on W2M with January 3rd and December to Dismember.
Yeah, it is going to be fun. I know it's going to be one of your favorite things to talk about, Harry.
You guys are brave.
I'm just going to say that I actually think I like this show a little bit more than Patrick did. You guys might be surprised to hear my opinion of this show.
Oh, wow.
Well, hey, at least, there's the good thing about reviewing a bad show is you can just totally crap on it and make jokes. So.
Oh, there's definitely some stuff to crap on, like the fact that Bob Holly is a main eventer.
Hey, he had to have his days sometime.
I still love the guy, so I'm not going to talk trash about Bob Holly, but yeah.
Wonder how Renee Dupree felt about Bob Holly main eventing.
Oh boy.
Oh God. Oof. That's interesting. But yeah, I mean, this is great, man. I mean, I'm really looking forward to you guys, getting your first show on the W2M network going. This is going to be great. Everybody listening, if you've never heard Wrestling Unwrapped, it is a treat. It is something that you've got to check out. And we definitely encourage you to listen live. That way you can tweet, you can call in, you can do all those great things. Everything you can do here at Wrestling to the Max, you can do over there at Wrestling Unwrapped. That is going to be special. It's going to be fun. Man, I know,
Plus, it's a great combination with us because we tried a couple times to do old reviews and it just really didn't work out. So this kind of gives people that wants to go back and listen to older stuff. Hey, you can, I guess, put in a request with Harry or Patrick, and they can put it in the queue, I guess.
Oh, if people have requests for shows that they want to see reviewed, as long as Patrick and I both own them, I don't think there'll be any kind of an issue there. And obviously, Patrick has the network, and I have a massive DVD collection. So if it's stuff that's on the network too, I'm sure we can look into it as well.
Yeah, definitely. And with the power of YouTube, I'm sure you can find other things. So
YouTube, Daily Motion, what have you.
Exactly. So I mean, there's great opportunities out there to get most of the content people want to hear about. Heard about. So that is great, man. Is there anything you wanted to bring to us, Harry? I know you wanted to make that announcement.
No, that was it there. I did real quick want to say that I agree with you guys about NXT Takeover London. I gave it an 8.5, and the reason being is that all the matches were good, but there's nothing that you absolutely positively have to see on this show. There's no major debuts. There's no match of the year candidates.
Yeah, you're right.
And I look forward to being back on Wrestling to the Max with Wrestling Unwrapped to the Max on January 24th for the Rumble.
Yes, sir. That's what I'm looking forward to as well. We're going to have a blast, and maybe one of these times, maybe we'll get lucky and Paul will be able to be a part of those shows again. So,
yeah, Paul.
Tell it to work, man.
You know what the thing for Paul is? It's the fact that he's even sarcastically backing Trump is why they're not allowing him to watch the That's right. I'm listening to the show tonight.
I'm glad, Harry. That's awesome. Yeah. Oh man. So, but yeah, I mean, we're really looking forward to everything going down soon here, and of course, hey, one more time, Harry, plug it. When can people hear Wrestling Unwrapped?
January 3rd, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Patrick time, because he lives in Chicago. We will be bringing back Wrestling Unwrapped with myself, Harry Broadhurst, and Patrick Ketza on the W2M network. We review ECW's December to Dismember, the only ECW WWE pay-per-view, and with good reason. 2006's December to Dismember, January 3rd on Wrestling Unwrapped. Gentlemen, I'm assuming there's no show next week due to the holiday, therefore Merry Christmas.
Oh, we have a show next week.
It'll be early next week, Tuesday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I won't be home at all next week, so allow me to get my wishes in now. Merry Christmas, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having the ability to talk shows with you guys, and I look forward to continuing it in 2016.
Definitely. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you and yours, man, and we'll be talking to you then.
Merry Christmas,
all right.
Harry.
Talk to you guys later.
Later, bud.
Love Mr. Harry Broadhurst. Also, you can catch him on the Raw Reaction. Don't forget about that. What an awesome show that is. You got him on that and with some other great guys. So go check that show out as well. Well, you guys, there's just a couple more things I want to throw in before we get out of quick hits. Really quickly here, we got to mention this, and this is kind of interesting because of the fact that Sean, the League of Nations was formed, and one of those guys was Wade Barrett. Now he's injured with a neck injury, but apparently it's not major, he's saying, but he does have an injury what do you think is going to be the effect of this?
Well, he can't wrestle for a while. I mean, I guess he could still be out there doing stuff. So, it sucks. But, I mean, was he really an important person to that League of Nations? Not really. I mean, so it just further proves that Wade Barrett is just Mr. Glass walking around.
Poor guy. Poor guy. I mean, it sucks for him, obviously, but I don't think anybody's going to miss him.
God.
Yeah.
It's a sad truth.
You gotta feel bad for the guy because of that reason, but at the same time, I get why they don't. Bad News Barrett's way better than King Barrett, but one last thing, guys, and we got to mention this, Paul. I mean, Sting, of course, is rumored to be in the Hall of Fame very soon. We don't know when. This year, next year, we don't know exactly when. But when he does go in, he has mentioned that he wants Ric Flair to be that guy to induct him. Do you think Flair is the right guy, or do you think that maybe there's some better candidates out there?
Nobody better than Ric Flair. A guy that helped mold Sting into what he is. A guy that put Sting over on multiple occasions. And probably one of Sting's greatest feuds of all time. Just there's nobody better.
Ditto.
Yeah. Enough said. So that's all you gotta say.
There's more to say.
I know. So that's why I said enough said. So all right, guys. Well, that is quick hits. A lot of great things to talk about. Just to let everybody know, if you're wanting to watch TNA Impact this coming week, you can find it on Pop TV now. They are going to do a two-parter, Best of 2015. You can find it this Wednesday at 9 p.m. And, of course, the following week, the same time on Wednesday on Pop TV before they go to their new time slot. So you don't want to miss that. If you're a big TNA Impact fan, that is going to be great stuff. Kind of inform you guys of that. So, all right, guys. Well, that wraps up Quick Hits, but we've got some other things to do. Of course, we're going to be talking Ring of Honor and TNA later in the show, but right now it is time for us to talk some Monday Night Raw. We'll be right back.
WWE Monday Night Raw.
All right. Well, before we start Raw, Harry mentioned it, but obviously, if you listened to our TLC review, Paul was not on it, so we're gonna give Paul a little bit of time to discuss what he thought about TLC, which we all thought favorably of it. What did you think, Paul?
I thought it was a heck of a show for something that had just god-awful build. The main event delivered. The ladder match absolutely delivered. I think everything else was sort of passable to good. The low point, I wish Ambrose and Owens had more time. I think that's my biggest gripe. I think Rusev and Rusev and Ryback didn't really need to be a thing, but it was a thing nonetheless, and at least they kept it short. Those are really my only two big beasts. 7.5, somewhere in there.
Huh? I'm trying to think what we gave it, Sean.
I think that's where we went. Was it a 7?
I think I did give it a 7.
Something?
I think I did give it a 7. Because to me, I always say 7 for me is a good show, but not just over the top, And I kind of thought that's where it was.
Yeah, Kalisto gets a full point for that Salida del Sol off the ladder. That was something he's probably hating himself for in the morning, but
probably all week. Wow, I thought, man, that guy just crippled himself. I really did. Oh, man, that is one of the most exciting moments that we've seen this past year. And that could possibly, guys, be one of our things to vote on when we do those big awards coming up this, not in this next week, but the week after the new year. We'll be breaking down some of our favorite things of the year. And, of course, give you the wrestler of the year and all that kind of stuff, match of the year. But anyway, that's for later. But, Sean, I guess it's time for us to talk some Raw.
Yes, it is. So Raw was live from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, not too far from the bingo hall that they kept referencing several times during this Raw. It started out with what you would imagine because the way TLC ended. Of course, this was the post pay-per-view Raw with Stephanie coming out because Triple H was injured, even though he was really just in London. She just basically came out and she kind of made it seem like she was going to suspend Reigns, and then she had a moment there with Reigns slapped him around and literally just slapped him like 5 or 6 times, and she won't fire him because Triple H said not to. I appreciated that it was short, but I thought I thought this it didn't do anything bad for Roman Reigns. So normally, it's hard because they're not going to have him hit Stephanie. So it's still the Stephanie doing the whole making the man feel less than, but somehow it was done in a better way. I don't know. What'd you guys think?
Looking at this, and I'm really curious what Paul has to say. It's why I kind of hesitated because I'm looking at this, and I've been on the journey of Roman Reigns has got to prove something to me before I'm going to get on board. And I'm not saying I'm jumping on board or anything, but I think he did a great job of getting in there and just kind of waiting it out to see what Stephanie was going to say. And I think she sold her part pretty well. And let me just say this: he took it like a trooper. I mean, those are real slaps. That you could definitely see his face after she got through beating his face in with those slaps. And to me, it worked. And he didn't need to do anything to her. He just had to stand there. And the way she sold it helped him, and I think he sold it pretty well. So I don't think this is bad at all. I think they did a pretty good job.
I think this was fine. It was short, which I appreciated. It was a teaser to more talking we're going to get later in the show, which I didn't really appreciate all that much. But I think it sets you up for the entire storyline of the show very well. And that's really, like we say so many times, it's really all this segment's supposed to do. Sometimes it does this job well, sometimes it's just annoying. But this time I think it was very much the former and not the latter.
Can I say this, too? I mean, I know I kind of try to point it out a little bit, but I don't know, Paul, what do you think about this? I think, really, it's kind of weird to say, but this is like, how do I say this? It's almost like I can almost believe Stephanie's emotions, because she really did a great job selling it to me. I don't know what it was, but, she's like, I'm going to bring my daddy here and all this, but it's almost like they got really emotional about it, and I think that's really what helped me along with this.
I think what really works for this story-wise is that the Authority came knocking on his door when Seth went down, and then, him turning his back on. Like, this is a guy they obviously wanted to put on, head and shoulders above the rest in storyline as well as outside. I mean, we know the story with Roman Reigns very well. But I think in storyline terms, I think that's what really helped it out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, we talked about it, but later they would have a segment where the chairman of the board, Mr. McMahon, would appear to have his moment with Roman Reigns. Pretty much kind of trying to rehash some Attitude Era stuff here where he wanted to get on his knees and all this junk. And, none of that happened because Vince just kicked him in the balls. So there was that. But, look, we also have to think about Vince's age here, but he's still one of those that he'll take it if he feels like the moment's there. And later on we would see it, but what did you at the time, I guess? Do you feel like this all? Let's add in all the stuff that happens here, obviously with Reigns winning the match at the end, and then kicking Vince to the floor and all that stuff. I mean, do you feel like it was all it all works?
I think what this show did very effectively was sort of create some very quick sympathy for him in light of what he did at TLC. Because TLC is the moment where I think he finally broke through. Like, okay, they're bringing out the reigns that they should have always had, where he's just this big old ass kicker, and away we go. And they build up, Stephanie beats him up, and then Vince kicks him in the nuts, and then we have all this sympathy sort of building up that culminates in a moment where he finally gets to be the ass kicker, kills everybody around him, and walks out with the belt, And I think that's why the crowd reacted very well to him, because we're talking about a crowd in Philly that booed the bejesus out of him not even a year ago, and now they're all on his side, which I think is some very effective, quick turnaround booking here on the WWE in less than a week, which they definitely should be commended for. But I think it all works very well, ties it up in a bow, and I mean, we got something to move forward with.
Yeah, and it's about Reigns not having to talk a whole lot. Sure, he did have some things to say, but it wasn't about him standing out there calling someone a tater tot, and it wasn't about him saying any other catchphrases or trying to be too funny. You got the slight little things he was trying to be funny and be a smart aleck and things like that. Okay, whatever, it's going to be there. But for the most part, it was about what he was doing physically. And that was great. That's what sold people, I think. And the silent, very, physical Roman Reigns is the guy we want to see. And that's what they gave Philadelphia for the most part. So I like that, and it really, honestly, to me, it's great. But at the same point, picking Roman Reigns over Sheamus right now, it's not like you're jumping real high. But that's okay. If you got to start there, build. And this is a great building point.
Yes, it was. It immediately feels like they just hit the reset button. I still don't know why Ambrose and the Usos just never show up to take out the League of Nations. That just is beyond me at this point. But it's whatever, I guess. Why even have them form as sort of this is my family, and then they never come out to help him really. Other than that, I think it all kind of made sense. We complained about if I would have just done that Vince portion in isolation, I think we all would have said, well, this makes Reigns look stupid. Like, what are they doing? And then when we get the ending, it all kind of made sense. Mm-hmm. And that in the end is what matters, and the fact that the Philadelphia crowd, which is one of the hardest crowds they can be in front of, accepted Roman, and that's what eventually Vince got what he wanted, right? You get Roman being accepted by the crowd of fans that doesn't like him, and it is what it is. And I think the reason why he's accepted is because they finally understood, hey, we can't have him act like an idiot. He was always the quiet but strong guy, and then you make him something else that we don't like, or we're going to tell you we don't like it. And I know there's a lot of people that will say that those people don't have the right to say anything, and they need to just let it go, and that all this stuff with the smarks is killing wrestling, and in ways you can say it is, but I think this also proves that them having a voice to speak up, whereas they wouldn't have in the past, changed things. Perhaps for the better, who knows? But moving on to other things in this show, the New Day, which was one of the awesome things, as they always are, one of the awesome things of the show, except for this time they got beat up for, even though they tried to make amends and stuff like that, just, in one way this was a cool moment, like you thought it was maybe some kind of turning of the guard for New Day or something, and then all of a sudden it was just like, wait, why are the Usos and the Lucha Dragons beating up the New Day? This doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are we just doing a double turn for no reason, or are we just doing it because we know this crowd's gonna love the New Day no matter what. I mean, I don't understand what any of this means, or if it means anything for that matter.
I'm in that same boat. I didn't get this segment at all. And I think Larry made an outstanding point in his review of saying that this is the reason why it's so hard for people to connect with a lot of your performers, is because you keep doing this sort of double stuff where they toe the line between face and heel. And I know that's what WWE wants, where they want a lot of these shades of gray, and that can work for maybe a couple of guys, but it can't work for a whole roster. It just can't. And this isn't really an act I think you want to mess with. I think you want to keep the New Day what they are. And if people cheer for them, then whatever. But they're very much the heels in all of this, and just because they're awesome doesn't mean you should change the fact of how you book them. I mean, it's very cool that they were sincere and they got to have that moment after that outstanding ladder match, but this does them no favors, I think, moving forward with, I'm assuming what this still is a feud of some sort.
I just don't. It doesn't make any. Where do you go from here? Like, again, we're still not at that moment where every crowd the New Day goes in front of just absolutely loves them. We're still in. You go to parts of the country, people still don't react to them in the same way that other parts of the country do. You know, they're not mega over with everybody yet. And I think if you add more confusion. And that's the thing, though. Like, see, this is where WWE still gets themselves in their own thing, because they may even do the thing, like I said, where they're just taking advantage of this crowd, and then next week we're back to what it was before, like that beatdown never happened. And it's just like, what? Why? You know, is this means? I mean, like, why? Shouldn't it have been the other way around? I know New Day won, but shouldn't have New Day like tricked them and then beat them up? I mean, just I don't know.
That's exactly the way I thought it was going to happen. And when it didn't happen, and it was the reversal of the guys that are supposed to be the faces getting in there and taking care of business, it's very confusing. It makes no sense. And now everybody's sitting there staring at them, the poster on their wall saying, do I like the Usos? Why did they just do that? And that doesn't make a lot of sense. It really, really doesn't. And
then the commentary doesn't help either. Like, they don't say anything.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, okay. I know the people in the crowd don't understand whether the commentary says something or not, but it's just, whatever.
Well, the commentary had something to say, but it was probably about Skittles or something else to talk about, so.
Something dumb, yeah. I mean, we do... I'm trying to think. The Extreme Rules match was pretty awesome. This is one case where I think taking advantage of the crowd and doing something that will clearly appeal to them makes a lot of sense here. You know what you have. My favorite part of this is not even the match. The freaking promo they did with the Dudleys and Dreamer and Rhino, that was awesome. That's when WWE can do things that no other company... I mean, this was almost Lucha Underground-esque, sort of. It almost seemed like a little movie was going on, and we're doing flashbacks and weird things, and the way they were cutting the promos felt different. And it's like, okay, whatever, It was a fun little build-up, and then, you had the match, and the match was what it was, probably one of the better things on the show, and it was fun, and the crowd loved it, so I think that's what mattered in the end.
I completely agree. The spots in this were pretty, like the jumping off the stage into the tables, like this. Everything I think you could want from what we didn't get last night happened in this match. Because these 8 guys went toe to toe, and I think they knocked it right out of the ballpark. This was probably, short of the miracle of somehow getting Reigns over in Philly, this was the second best thing on the show.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I mean, it was, and it's it's exciting, and it's something that I think a lot of people are enjoying. So that's always a positive thing. I mean, that's what WB needs is positive things to get people to stay on board and to move forward.
But okay, so we have the Wyatts win again. Like, where can they really go from here? I mean, just the logical thing would obviously you split them apart again and have them each do their own thing, but still be together. But it seems like WWE doesn't want to. I mean, you don't have any other factions other than the League of Nations. You're not going to do that. So, I mean,
unless they're gonna start putting together baby faces, and I don't see that happening. You form a tag team out of these two, you send them that way, which I really hope is still Harper and Rowan, and you have Stride and chase somebody. Whether they think it's Reigns so soon after their last garbage fire of a feud, or you have them go after Dean again, or there's a feud out there for Wyatt that you want to keep moving him up. There's got to be somebody
besides Dean and Roman.
There really isn't. There really isn't.
Oh, come on. Ryback, you could throw him. Yeah.
Again?
You could throw him against the big guy.
I can just imagine those promos. You think that the meat is good to eat, but I'll tell you. Something weird, I don't know.
The buds are going to eat your meat.
Yeah.
Whatever.
That doesn't have a negative connotation to it.
Yeah,
No.
that could get really weird, but I agree. I mean, it is a weird. It's something people are asking themselves what the Wyatt family has next on their plate, and I really do hope you guys are right. I really want it to be, Harper and Rowan. They work well together. It makes a lot of sense. Heck, you could throw Strowman out there as a singles competitor himself. Let him be dominant. I don't know. I just think that these guys have to, get a little bit of separation here, despite they're still together, and do some other things.
I completely agree on that notion as well. Something I think we've all said. We enjoyed that when they would let them kind of be separate, but they would band back together when it was necessary, which is usually, I think, when factions work the best, is when they're not always having to be together constantly. I guess we should touch on the Divas. There was a tag match. Brie Bella and Alicia Fox just feel like total cannon fodder at this point. My lord. Again, I never thought I'd say this, but it's just like they feel like nothing without Nikki Bella there. But yeah, I think this is all about, I guess we're going to get a Becky and Charlotte thing out of this. But they're doing it slowly, which is fine.
That's fine. Like I love Becky Lynch, so keeping her near the top of the scene is fine with me. You have the crowd wanting Sasha so bad, and them not doing anything with her, and a bunch of cast-offs.
And they had
really
to buy
sort of
tickets to get in this.
Yeah, like that made sense. So I don't know. Like this tag match was okay. It's pretty much squash. But I want to say like they're almost drowning. They don't know what to do without Nikki Bella. Which is just weird. Like I don't know if that's who they had in mind to have feuding with Sasha on the side here or what. But it's weird how much I think Nikki Bella leaving has had a void on this division.
It has, and that's why I get rid of everyone in her little group there until she's back. You've got other talent that you can use. Heck, you even got Natalya backstage. You can even use her. Find some other people to use. That's the best way I look at it, and let them be away right now because it's obvious. Unless you're squashing them, which they did in this one, but did they matter? Not really. And is that really the way you want Brie Bella to look? She's right there beside her sister. I get it. Nikki's the featured one, but I still think that the whole twin thing, they've got to be closer than further apart, at least in my opinion.
I don't know. They've clearly established that they don't care anything about Brie, nor that they really plan on doing anything with Brie other than her being what she is.
Maybe
and
so.
Alicia Fox, I think,
She's fallen.
Yeah, Alicia Fox is just there. It's that this whole division has now become like they know what they have in Sasha. I guess they're gonna try to slow burn that as much as they possibly can to maybe have Sasha versus somebody at WrestleMania, because you don't want to totally kill that now, which I think is fine. I guess Paige just gets lost in this whole thing. And look, I don't care at all. If they want to do Charlotte and Becky, that's the most logical thing, and I'm glad they're going with the most logical. Because it feels like we're eventually going to get Sasha, and Charlotte's just going to run rampant over everybody, and we're going to get Sasha being the one that's going to stop it. And that's okay. If we get a repeat of Sasha and Charlotte at WrestleMania, then I think you've accomplished some of the goal of Divas Revolution to finally get one of them in a big match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the rest of the stuff is, your mid-card feuds, really, if you can call them that, in some respects. The Ryback and Del Rio, the Swagger and Del Rio, the Ryback and Rusev continue, at least for this show. The only one that I found sort of interesting is that The Miz is doing this thing with Neville where he's like mentoring him or whatever. And he's now basically being Jimmy Hart with the megaphone, and I'm not going to lie, that's like a role that just works perfectly for Miz. He's annoying, and that's what he's good at. And Neville's just so awkward about it that it kind of works, I think. I don't know that it's going to do anything for Neville as far as really putting him anywhere, but I don't know. What do you guys do you think? Let's say we're still doing this months down the line. Has Neville progressed any because of this feud?
I think Neville is a victim of getting called up because they had nothing left for him in NXT, and they had nothing left for him here on the main roster. He's had the brief flirtation with getting that big match at SummerSlam with Stephen Amell. Yeah, and this is just like, I can't believe this. I'm not a giant fan of it. Like, The Miz is annoying. I get it. And you need to pair Neville up with somebody, because him in the tag division could be wonderful. I don't know what you do with Neville right now. I really don't.
That's a good question, and I don't think I could answer it either, Paul. I'm looking at this and sitting there, okay, yeah, he can face different guys, but what feud can really matter? And I can't find one that off the top of my head. And he's already kind of did a little bit of a feud with King Barrett, so I mean that's been there, done that. I don't know. It's sad in a way.
Yeah, but that's the point when you make all your mid card doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, whoever Neville feuds with, it's gonna mean one iota of nothing. So, just who cares, right? Like, okay, he's gonna have this match with Tyler Breeze, and he's gonna win, and oh, now it's all because Miz is mentoring him. Okay, whatever. This almost seems like a rehash of the Mizdow feud again. Okay, just whatever. I mean, at least it's something, and it's not like Ryback and Rusev, where I don't know. I don't know how much more you can go with that, honestly. And I thought Swagger and Del Rio did as much as they're going to do at TLC, and I don't know what we're doing there either. So,
yeah.
I mean, do you guys have an inkling of what's happening? Like, you think it's going to go anywhere at all, or is it just one of these mid-card things?
I don't, unless they really start making Miz's mentorship matter, like he can start getting he starts getting title matches for Neville, or so he's got to do something to get Neville to that next, to make people invest into why people should care that Miz is doing this for him, whatever. Because it's not like Neville is this giant star where Miz can just make his, add another notch to his belt or something by beating him. It's not going to work that way. So they either really have to commit to the idea of Miz being this guy for Neville, or they're going to have to figure something out, obviously, because now they're in the hole with this feud. Like, here we are, what do we do? And I got nothing. I got zilch.
Yeah. And for the rest of these guys, Ryback, Del Rio, Rusev, Jack Swagger, I mean, all these guys, and you're looking at them and you're saying, okay, well, they can, do what they're doing now, or kind of fluctuate between some of the other mid-carders, but really, I mean, there's nothing there that's going to excite you. I think this is just a holding pattern until you get to Royal Rumble, until they figure out something else. I don't imagine they're going to build anything too big with any of these guys. I mean, Del Rio may be the biggest one just because, they brought him back, and I think they want to use him to prove that, hey, that was a good decision. But the rest of these guys, they don't owe him anything, and man, Ryback's one of the guys I feel the most sorry for.
Yeah, because hadn't there been a guy that's a guy right there that he's been up and down on the overtrain. He still finds ways to keep himself relevant, whether it's through social media, whether it's through other things, and they still just put him in feuds that mean absolutely nothing, or they build him up for a little bit and then nothing again, so I mean, I just don't get it. But at least they did have one cool thing with the mid-card, which was the IC title match, and the match was good, and then you had Owens come out and do his thing where he's mad, and he wanted to show Ambrose that, hey, you want to be insane? Well, I can be insane too. I'm going to drive you insane. And I mean, this Kevin Owens has just got to be like the most. Why does it seem like Kevin Owens is the only guy that can not fit the mold of what WWE wants, and then nobody seems to be able to take his lead and do the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about the last few where they have like zero idea what to do with it, and this one's perfect. Like, Ambrose and Owens is great, and it's just because I think both these guys are so bit-bound and determined to get over no matter what sort of bullshit's thrown in front of them that they're just going to go out there and do it. Like, Kevin Owens just nails the role of being pissed off about losing the Intercontinental title, which admittedly a lot of people haven't been upset about losing recently, and here's a guy who's totally upset about it. Like, here's a concept that should totally be a thing all the time.
Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because that is very much the truth. I mean, it's almost like the titles are just there at times. But these guys should care about it. There's a reason they're fighting to get those titles. And it's just nice to see a guy like Kevin Owens put over the title. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, it's just, why, other than, when Cena had the U.S. title, I mean, that's why we cared about that title so much, because he made it feel important. And Rollins did it too, but he had his own weird way of doing it, and that's fine. But, like, Owens is coming out and just like, look, I want my title back, and I'm going to do whatever I have to do it if I have to put you in a freaking insane asylum to get it. Just, that's awesome. Like, he didn't have to, like, go out there and curse him and say a bunch of stupid stuff or whatever. He just threatened him, and I'm going to keep doing this until I get my... Which, technically, I mean, he has a rematch, so I guess he wouldn't have to do that, but it's still awesome, because there's so many of these feuds that feel like they have nothing to them, and this one, just from the word go, this is going somewhere, and you're into it because they're both really going at each other.
Mm-hmm.
What a concept. But yeah, we just have to rate this Raw, I guess.
I think 6.5. like it's on the cusp, I think, of being a 7. But there's some stuff on here I didn't really care for. The main storyline was great. I think the Extreme Rules match also very good. Dean Ambrose and Kevin Owens' work in the opening match, along with Dolph Ziggler, who they were having a pretty good match until the finish. Sort of comes in and typical Raw stuff. But yeah, I think 6.5 about covers it for me.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Paul on this. 6 is where I was at as well. I'm a little bit, surprised and keep hearing people say, "Oh, this is a great Raw, and this is this and this," and really loved it. Which it wasn't bad. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think it was good at times, but I still think there's some things on here that need to be cleaned up. We still need a reason to stick around for the entire 3 hours, and I think there were some points in this show where, if I wasn't doing this for the podcast, and if I was a casual viewer, I think I still would be flipping that channel. Because there's some definite lull points in this. And so, I think this 6 is good.
Yeah, I'm right around there. I think, for the most part, though, this show was more positive than negative. There was still some confusing things, like the whole New Day segment that was just confusing as to why that happened the way it did. And then, you do have the Reign stuff kind of followed through the whole show, so that made it entertaining and it gave you a reason to keep watching. I'm going to say I'm more in line with what Larry's saying, a 7, because the stuff that wasn't great is actually sort of minor, and they hit on the major stuff, and that's what matters. And I think for some people, I think you got a little bit of a slice of, Attitude Era stuff in here, and that might be why people just really, oh my God, all this stuff. Oh, I feel like we went back in time. Look, they can do this for one Raw, and that's great. But how do you? They have been terrible on capitalizing on that and making sure that they have a string of Raws that deliver things. And they're not. That's my one. That's the thing I've said a million times. They are not consistent enough. You want to call this a good TV show? Even it cannot seem to do that. It's like if you watch an episode of anything, you go from one extreme to the other, you're gonna get kind of annoyed, right? You don't want to watch a show and, this might be the week that they have a great episode, and the next episode's like, oh, well, I could have just totally skipped this one because it sucked, or it was total filler. You don't want to watch a show like that, right? I mean, we got to watch this show that's like that. So it'd be nice if WWE figured out how to be more solid.
I totally agree. I've been watching Into the Badlands, and if it wasn't consistent, if they didn't, do what they're doing and make each episode matter, and you get excited after every episode, it'd be very easy to turn the channel and say, it's not worth it. I don't even need to continue with this show. So, things like that they need to continue to do for Raw to keep people wanting to come back, well, guys, all right. That wraps up Monday Night Raw. We've got a couple more shows we want to talk about. So, just to let you know, we'll be rounding out with TNA. But right now, we are going to talk some Ring of Honor. And so, me and Paul are going to go down that journey. Sean didn't get a chance to watch it, so he'll kind of chime in here and there. But me and Paul will review this show. We'll do that right next.
I want to preface it by saying that it's not like I choose not to. It's still difficult to go find when it's whenever they feel like putting it up on a Thursday, and sometimes by that point I have to go do something else. So,
yep.
You guys have it on your TVs, which makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, it definitely does, for sure.
All right, here we go. Go for it, Phil.
All right. So we open this week's edition of Ring of Honor Television with Adam Cole taking on Corey Hollis, who is here to do the job and do it well. They have a pretty fun little 5-minute match here. And Adam Cole gets to hop on the microphone afterwards and pretty much tell Kyle O'Reilly he's going to murder him at Final Battle. which I am eagerly looking forward to, even though I won't be able to probably watch it till Sunday.
Yeah, I'm right there with you too. I probably won't be able to watch till later either. But this was fun. The match wasn't bad. I mean, I really enjoyed these two guys. And Hollis, he looks like he's got something. If I can say so myself. I mean, I enjoyed his work, and it makes sense for Adam Cole. I mean, he's definitely the veteran and the guy that's a little bit on that big level compared to him. So, decent stuff, and of course, Adam Cole promos, good stuff. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get much better than Adam Cole on a promo in Ring of Honor. But the squash train, of course, doesn't slow down there as War Machine totally murders John and Trey Williams in about 2.5 minutes. I think you're going to be hard pressed to find War Machine not coming out of those tag titles at Final Battle.
I think we could definitely agree with that, and they really get you excited here because they just annihilate these guys. So I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's just a way to put them over, and I'm okay with it. But nothing much to really say.
Yeah, I mean, the form continues with Dalton Castle taking on Mike Posey, who he also beats pretty quickly. And we get some more interaction with Silas Young during Dalton Castle's post-match promo. The boys make a distraction. Silas Young runs in, beats him up, and poses with the boys and all that fun stuff. So another match that they're building to, Dalton Castle, Silas Young, which hopefully should prove to be better than their last confrontation.
I hope so. I'm a big Dalton Castle fan. And I like Silas Young himself. So, I mean, I like, both these guys in general. But, really, to be honest with you, I'm really enjoying the storyline. Mm-hmm. It's hokey, it's cheesy, it is what it is. But saying all that, I still care. I still want to know more, and I still want to see what happens. So, I'm following it very closely where maybe other people aren't, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I mean, this could have been done better, I feel like, but what we've gotten has still been pretty good. And obviously, what the boys come out of this looking like at the end is going to be really important, or at least it makes you. ROH has done a good job of making it feel very important about what's going to happen to these two guys. Mm-hmm. But we finally get to the big stuff. I think that matters on this show. Jerry Lynn, former Ring of Honor champion, comes on out to do a promo or an interview with Kevin Kelly. And Jerry Lynn has wrestled both AJ Styles and Jay Lethal. Jerry Lynn and AJ Styles, I think, is probably one of the early matchups in TNA that really put the X Division on the map. I think Lynn and Lethal wrestled each other in a couple other places, including TNA as well. But he, Kelly's trying to get him to pick a winner. Lynn can't do it. Jay Lethal finally comes out and pretty much wants Jerry Lynn to call him the best wrestler in the world, which he doesn't do. And Jerry Lethal ends up stating everything for himself and just cuts a gosh darn great promo to really wrap all this up.
Yeah, I think the interaction was great. I love Jerry Lynn being out there, them kind of getting his thoughts, and just overall, it was solid. I mean, I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to see Jerry Lynn back. It really, really was. And so, you get little details out of this, like Jerry Lynn saying, "Hey, I know your mama," to Jay Lethal, and things like that. And that's kind of a cool little tidbit that they throw in there. And it gets you to thinking about Lethal and where he's at and where his mind's at. I mean, he's of course a great promo. I love him and his promos, but overall, it also makes you look at him and say, I think this guy's a little scared. I think this guy knows that that title and everything that he's been doing is possibly coming to an end. So that's why I like this. It kind of gets a little psychological here, and it really gets you thinking about what's going on. So good stuff.
Yeah, it's especially impressive considering it's pretty much been on Jay Lethal's shoulders to carry this feud for about 90% of the time, because AJ Styles can only come in for so many cups of coffee while he was working with the New Japan schedule before he got his injury. So certainly I think makes Jay Lethal look all the better for what he's doing here. Yeah. We follow that up with a video package with Mike Elgin and Moose, who also probably have a pretty hard hitting match at Final Battle. Alex Shelley comes out to do commentary for Ropogny Vice, taking on ACH and Matt Sydal, who he'll be teaming with ACH and Matt Sydal to take on the Addiction and Chris Sabin at Final Battle. But this match, really fast paced, really well paced, really well worked. ACH and Matt Sydal end up coming out with the victory. Easy for me to say. And yeah, I mean, right team goes over. Lots of great build to Final Battle, and I mean, it's hard to be disappointed with everything we got on the show.
I totally agree. I really, really do. I mean, even this main event, it was fun to watch. I mean, it being high paced, I mean, it just makes complete sense with the guys that were in the ring. And they put on a pretty darn good show. So overall, I mean, wrapping the show up like this it's good. It's something that you could definitely say is one of the better episodes, and it really does hype you up for Final Battle. I mean, really, they did a great job getting you to that point to where you're saying, okay, I've got to watch Final Battle because I really want to know what's going to happen with this storyline, and this match looks good, and things like that really kind of draw you in. So I have no remarks that are negative towards it. So. But yeah, I guess that wraps this up for Ring of Honor. Of course, just to let everybody know, we're going to be doing Ring of Honor talk on Final Battle on our next episode of Wrestling to the Max. We were considering doing a special. We really were, but we just thought, with the holiday season and the fact that Ring of Honor would probably be the only thing we'd be really covering, it would probably be just better to go ahead and smack it right in there with our talk on Tuesday, of course. So.
Yeah, because there's no more TNA after this week until they appear on Pod TV with an actual new episode.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, WWE starts hitting the slump portion where they, we'll talk about the Slammies and all that, but,
Yeah, exactly.
That is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the most part.
And of course, I mean, Final Battle is later this evening as well, seeing as it's now Friday morning for all of us. So
exactly. So, and of course, if you're listening to this podcast on Saturday, you may have already watched Final Battle, but that's us, kind of leading up to it. So, all right, guys. Well, let's move on, and we're going to talk some TNA Impact. And to be truthful, I did not get a chance to watch this. It was just such a hard week for me. But we'll get through it.
Honestly. No one missed anything if you didn't.
Yeah. But we can still cover it, and we are. And I wanted to, really talk about some of the things in this. So let's go ahead and move on, and we'll talk TNA Impact.
Give me a sec here. Okay.
TNA Impact Wrestling.
If there is a God, this better be the last time I have to play this music.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Pop TV will make him change it. Let's see.
Pop TV should know this is a terrible, terrible song. And just, keep it at that. Yeah, so Paul, what happened? Because I don't know.
Wow, this is thrown on Paul, but that's okay, Paul. You can run down this card.
I got this. Yeah, most of the show is sort of dedicated to replaying a lot of the matches that we've seen from the tournament for the world title that TNA's been doing for the last month and a half. It feels like. So you get a lot of replays of all that and sort of hyping up the final four that we have left, which is Lashley and EC3 and Matt Hardy and I'm blanking on the last one.
Eric Young.
Yes, that would be why I was blanking. This guy, I don't care.
Wow.
I don't blame him at all for that.
Match-wise, you have the Future Four bracket, Micah, Eli Drake, Crimson, and Jesse Goddard taking on the X Division group, Tigre Uno, Mandrews, Manic, and DJZ. Sort of your usual fare, I guess, when it comes to a match like this for TNA. Mid-card fodder. Still gets 10 minutes. It's still pretty good. The X Division contingent comes out, which is probably the smart decision here. Yeah, and that's that match.
Yeah, I mean, Here's the thing. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say because is there anything that comes out of this?
No.
Yeah,
Really, that matters.
Yeah.
No.
We won't be
Nothing
probably
matters.
getting any feud building till that re-debut episode where they're supposed to. They've been apparently aggressively hunting talent and all this other stuff that you want to hear TNA say, but don't know if they're going to make good on, based on where they're at.
And,
the other
them aggressively hunting talent to them means like anybody.
Mhm.
Just anybody we can get at this point.
Hey, Bill Dundee, do you still wrestle?
You also get an elimination match between Eddie Edwards, Mr. Anderson, Rockstar Spud, and Bobby Roode, which is actually pretty good. Bobby Roode ends out coming up on top, which is probably one of the reasons why I like this so much. But he makes Mr. Anderson tap out, which just is even better. But if you absolutely have to watch TNA this week, the match that match right there is well worth it. You get about 20 minutes of action out of that. But unless you had completely missed the entire tournament, this is a totally skippable episode of TNA.
Yeah, sounds like it so far. But I mean, Bobby Roode winning, that's solid. I love Raw Bobby Roode too. I'm a big fan of his. But I'm a big fan of Rockstar Spud as well. So I want him to win. But you know what? He doesn't. So.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the entirety of TNA Impact. Those two matches and the ridiculous amount of video packages you get hyped up the past tournament stuff.
See, it's amazing. I get it. Yeah, and their show, is moving to a new network, and they're doing everything they can to, I guess, get people interested in. If you've never seen the show, this is what's going on, which is great. It's perfect. But yeah, that's not enough, man, for a whole show. That's wow. It is what it is, though. And maybe when they move to Pop TV, maybe they'll come back with a lot more luster. We'll find out, though. Of course, everybody, once again, if you want to go check out their shows, they'll be moving to Pop TV the next 2 Wednesdays. You can catch them on there. Be reviewing stuff. It won't be anything new. So just to let you know, heads up. But besides that, guys, there's only really one last thing we got to do, and that's crown a Superstar of the Week. So we're going to move on and do that. We'll be right back.
Here we go.
Superstar of the Week.
All right, Paul, who's you got in your top 5 this week?
5 I give to Dean Ambrose for capturing that Intercontinental title at TLC, even though I wish that match was much longer. 4 I gave to Bayley, not only for retaining her title, but for, being posited the question by entire city of whether she will be their girl or not. And that's always worthy of admiration.
I gotta love it.
3 I gave to Dash and Dawson. I really enjoyed their tag match at TakeOver as well. Finn Balor, of course, retaining his NXT title gets him the 2 spot. And, of course, number 1 goes to Roman Reigns. Not only for winning the championship, but for getting over in Philly, of all places, who pretty much wanted to murder him back in January. So, there you go.
Definitely, Sean.
Number 5, I've got Dean Ambrose for winning the IC title. Number 4, I've got Dash and Dawson for retaining their tag titles. Number 3, I got Bayley retaining her women's title in a pretty good match. And then number 2, Finn Balor retaining his world title or NXT title against Samoa Joe. And then number 1, Roman Reigns. He has the fantastic ending to TLC, even though it was hard for me to care about the match that was happening. And then, on Raw, he basically redeems himself completely, and that whole crowd gets behind him, and he wins the title. I mean, I don't know how you could have anybody else at number 1 after the crazy week that he had. So, yeah. Roman Reigns.
Definitely. All right, my number 5 is Ambrose. You guys made a lot of good points about that. He, did a wonderful job in winning the IC belt at TLC, so good job to him. Number 4 to me is Dash and Dawson. They did a wonderful job as well, retaining. Number 3, Bayley retaining against a Pretty tough opponent is solid for me, and so she gets it. And number 2 for me, just for the same reasons you guys did, Finn Balor. What a wonderful match with Samoa Joe. Really enjoyed that. And Roman Reigns at number 1. You got to give him credit. Paul mentioned the Philly crowd. I mean, it's a very difficult thing to get over with them, and apparently he was able to do it. So not only did he get the belt, but he got some respect too. Congratulations to Roman Reigns. He is the superstar of the week, and congratulations. So, well, guys, this is pretty much the end of the show. We've got, a big show coming up this next Tuesday. That's right. I said Tuesday. I did not say Thursday night. Tuesday night is when we're actually recording it. For all of you who listen on demand, you'll get it fresh and early on Wednesday morning. It'll be a fun holiday episode we're going to be doing. Really, honestly, we're going to be talking about the Slammies, which is going to be what the Slammies are, so don't expect anything brilliant out of that, because we're probably going to be limited on what we get a chance to really cover, because there's not going to be anything huge on that show, but it'd be fun to kind of talk about the Slammies.
We'll get to talk about some of the award winners, and
exactly.
I guess kind of give some early thoughts on, some WWE award winners in our view, and if they match up.
Yeah.
Because the fans get to choose for some of them this year, so...
That's right.
It won't be WWE arbitrarily giving it to somebody.
Exactly. And plus, of course, guys, we are going to get a chance to kind of talk about Final Battle, which will be a blast, because we'll kind of get to cover everything we gave you tonight on the preview and just kind of give you our thoughts on what happened there. And we're going to do a thing we like to do every year, a Christmas wish list in wrestling. That's right. We are going to tell you what we wish for 2016 in the world of wrestling, what we want to happen, what we want Santa to make come true. So that'll be a lot of fun. And, some other few, things will be added in between now and then. And so you don't want to miss that episode. Don't forget, it'll be Tuesday night live. If you want to come and listen, you want to call in, we're going to be available then on Tuesday night, but Wednesday morning it'll be on demand for you guys to pick up, and hopefully you're already subscribed to either the Wrestling to the Max podcast, or you're subscribed to the W2M Network, which, once again, the W2M Network is not only adding shows like Wrestling Unwrapped, we have some other shows that we like to do called Football to Football is one of them, where we cover the NFL. And, of course, this week we'll be covering everything that's going on in the preview for this coming weekend. So that'll be fun for you guys to hear.
Start talking about those college bowls.
Yeah. Too. So lots of things in those
Paul,
college bowls.
Did you fill out your bracket already, Paul?
For the
bowls, yeah. You're the defending champion. You gotta show up.
I think I filled it out the next day after I signed up, something like that.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. So
my arbitrary picks are in.
Good. I'll just get on there and so good, everybody. I have my cheat sheet. Thank you. So, anyway, but once again, I hope you guys.
Yeah. So if Gary gets them all wrong, he's gonna blame Paul.
Paul, why did you? But anyway, no, I really want people to know you need to subscribe to the Wrestling on the Max podcast and, of course, the W2M Network. That way you can get all these episodes on demand. They're waiting for you. You're not having to go search us out. You're not having to look everywhere. You can get us right there.
You also don't have to have 3 different podcast subscriptions. You can just have one if you want to, which I'm sure makes it cleaner for your whatever podcast service you use of choice there.
Exactly. And, of course, you could do us a favor and go and rate and review. We would love you to do that. We really appreciate that. That helps us, and it just helps us get our name out there and to show people and to show sponsors that, hey, people do listen to this show and they want more from it. So, lots of great stuff. Sean, do you have anything else you want to plug?
Of course, follow us on Twitter at Wrestling2Max or at W2M Network. And, of course, go like that Facebook page where I try to post not only the podcasts, but whenever they get posted on the websites or whatever is written by either myself or one of the other guys that helps out on some of the other podcasts or something. So, it's you get a nice little variety there too. So, but yeah, I mean, it's gonna be kind of a little bit of the doldrums, but next week we'll have that. But the week after that, I mean, we don't even have a show on. I was sitting there calculating it by Thursday, but the next week, which we also have to decide what we're going to do with that because that's on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
We might be doing another Tuesday show for 2 weeks in a row. We'll be doing our Wrestle Kingdom 10 preview and maybe reviewing a book about New Japan then too. So
definitely. So some great shows coming up. Like I said, it's gonna be some holiday
and of course,
episodes.
our end of the year awards, our W2M awards that you guys are going to help us pick again.
Definitely.
So we'll get that rolling out on the Facebook group or Twitter lets you do polls now, so we'll roll it out on the Twitter too.
So great stuff. I'm really looking forward to it, and we got a lot of great content coming your way, so you don't want to miss any of it. So make sure you do subscribe. Make sure you do come check us out, and of course, go check out those other shows we mentioned. Just a quick, remember, and just to remind you that the Raw reactions out there. Go check out the Raw reaction. Of course, Wrestling and Wrapped is coming January 3rd to the W2M network, so you don't want to miss those guys there. And of course, TWNE After Dark. Mr. Steven Randall does a great job. You need to go check his show out as well.
Of course, before we leave, we got to congratulate 2 people that are on this podcast more often than others. Mr. Brandon Biscoe who will be facing me in the W2M Fantasy Football semifinal. And then it'll be Chris Lemche against Chaz, who he's a big contributor to the Facebook group, but you don't hear him on here. So, hey.
Yeah.
And maybe none of us that host the podcast in the final there.
Par for the course.
Yeah.
At least we represented much better on the sports podcast, though. The 3 of us made it to the semifinal.
I just had a tough year in this W2M one, but that's okay. It happens. So, well, anyway, guys, it's been fun. It's been a blast, but we've got to move on and let you guys go, and we'll be talking to you on Tuesday, so come check us out. But anyway, always remember, guys, if you're not living life to the max,
not living life at all.
You know it.
Peace.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Happy holiday. Whatever else
Hanukkah,
you celebrate.
Kwanzaa.
Yeah. There you go.
Later.